It is Wellness Wednesday. I am here. I am alive. A little down on my luck. I went to Whistler. Came back with a little bit of a cold. Actually, didn't do concuss last night because I just was not able to deliver. So I felt bad about that. But I'm with my good buddy Pete Bombaci from General Project. He just lights me up. I'm fired up.
Hi, Kerry Goulet. How was it out west?
It was really good. I went to get a coffee at Tim Hortons in the morning, not realizing that it had snowed because it was a beautiful sunny day the morning, the day before. And I started walking and realized I got no socks on. So I walked all the way to Tim Hortons. It was only a 3 minute walk, but ended up being a 10-minute walk because I had no idea where I was going. And then it took me 20 minutes to get back because it was a whiteout. And unfortunately, I took the red eye home, which I said to myself at my age, no more red eyes.
Yeah.
And I pay the price right now. The last 3 or 4 days, I just have not been myself. You can hear it in my voice. But I'm here and I'm excited. And there's lots to talk about. And you're almost wearing plaid.
Well, I wanted to support the movement. No, honestly, I wish I had thought about it a little more, but literally back to back from meetings, and so just jumping on here because as you've said before, what I love about Wellness Wednesday is just the opportunity to share a positive message with people to stay, to say, hey, we all need to stay connected.
Yeah.
And we need to be supporting each other, whether it's through a conversation that people can learn from, or it's and like there's Robert Wine showing up right on time, as he always does, and
About
it's
time.
it's building. Yeah, it's about building a community of people that actually are there for each other, whether it's through a conversation, a kind gesture, or words of support in any way possible.
But I'm wearing plaid, and there's a reason why I'm wearing plaid. I met this incredible young lady at a party with Brian Green. It was his practice. It was a Tuesday night, and she came up to me. We started chatting, and she runs Pathstones Foundation down in the Niagara region. And she told me she was involved in mental health, as we are. I know that you deal with a lot of help with people talking. I've been quoted to say the best medicine for people is people. And when we listen and not only talk, which I do a lot of, but I actually do a lot of listening, we can help people. So I listened to her story, and hers is all about helping the youth today. So she's got this project, which is really exciting. I'm going to put it up there for everybody to see. It is a thing that I think we all can help out with. Basically, what it is, it's called hashtag Project Plaid, and I'm wearing a plaid shirt that I was given to by Charleston Hughes. You may or may not know him, 6-time All Star in the CFL, plays for your Toronto Argonauts, and he has a platform called Better with Age. And look at this, there's nothing better than this age, 62 young. So, hashtag Project Plaid. Please, please put some plaid on, and all you got to do is go wear plaid, talk about mental health, and then donate to Pathstones. You can go to pathstonesfoundation.ca. And if you don't have time to do that, go to the Genwell Project because they are all about connecting people and making sure we're all healthy and happy together. Your thoughts?
I want to say a couple things. First off, what the plaid shirt really is, and this is again relates back to the whole idea of we all want to connect. And what I love about the plaid shirt, and I know that there's another plaid campaign out there for prostate cancer as
Yes.
well, uh, but it's the catalyst of a conversation because when you see somebody with plaid, it's like, hey, what's with that shirt? It's a remarkable type of shirt, and so it's great that people are creating those
There it is.
conversations because that conversation alone can be all the difference that somebody needs right now. As we've talked about and we've shown it on the show before, the stress continuum shows that there's kind of those stages from feeling really good to being in a crisis, and there's a lot of stages along the way there that we can help people stay happier and healthier and avoid mental health challenges, which are in many cases the end result of not doing those simple things along the way. That the more we can get people to have those conversations, the better off we'll be.
And there are many, many people suffering, and we don't see it. So we need to make sure we're vocal and we're there to listen and spot the red flags that are needed. I had a party a couple nights ago at the Bottom Line. It was with the Hockey Hall of Fame. Stephen Morris popped by.
Nice.
What a wonderful first time. He said, "Gosh, you actually have legs," and I said, "Yeah, and I'm wearing pants." And we had a really good conversation. He's as nice as he is when you hear him on screen. He's as intelligent as we hear him on screen. And at that night, we decided that we're hearing a lot of stories about obviously adults suffering. And I think what's most important is when we do that, we feel for our pro athletes, right? There's a lot of athletes that have gone down bad paths. And there was an article just written in Australia out of the Guardian, and they talked about, we put our athletes on pedestals, pro athletes, and obviously when they're affected by mental illness, addiction, or concussions, it's highlighted. But then they said, what about the youth? What about those players that never quite made it, but they had just as much exposure to head injuries, addictions, alcoholism, obviously abuse, whether by a coach or a parent, and they're really looking deeper into it. For everyone that made it, there are thousands that didn't, but yet they had the same exposure as a child or as a semi-pro player. So I think it's really important we look at that more. So Stephen Morris and I, along with Rob Palante, and there'll be a couple of guys involved. I will be talking to you about it. We're going to form under the Connected platform an opportunity, because if you're an NHLer, NFLer, MLB, there are places for you to go, and they're funded by the associations. Whereas a kid that's going, Pete, I don't know if you know, but a guy playing the East Coast League or the SPHL, they're making $300-400 a week. They're not saving anything; they're spending everything. And by the time they're through their career, they maybe have a little bit of money saved up. But if they come out of it with addiction, mental health issues, concussions, a damaged brain, it's going to be really hard for them to get a job. And when they do go into crisis, where do they turn to? So that's what we're going to be. Connected is going to really do a number and make sure that everybody knows they can reach out to us, whether it be Connected, whether it be the General Project, whether it be Stephen Morris or Scott Holler. We're here to help.
This is all so exciting as I listen to you, and I don't know if it's the pandemic that's kind of created this, this care and concern, and because this issue isn't a new issue. Because actually, when you first started talking, I thought you were speaking about. I know early on in the pandemic, maybe a year in, you had spoken about all the kids that should have been drafted, who missed a year of draft. And what about the kids that's two behind, who now will go into the draft with 2 other years of draft, who will not get drafted because they didn't get to play in that it's just that it's kind of like when we combine grade 13 and grade 12 in that first year, that we and some kids didn't get into university. There's those young kids who will never ever get to fulfill their dream because COVID happened. So there's one issue. And then there's the issue that you just described, which is all those guys who, in my opinion, it would be a dream to play, to have made it even to the East Coast League or to make it to any league. But then you give your heart and soul. But this is like any job, because I've done this myself, where I got so carried away with trying to be successful in my job that I avoided all the other things
Yeah.
that are important in my life. So hockey's no different. And, I'm surprised to hear you say that all the other leagues have programs. I didn't realize they did, but if the NHL isn't doing something to help those people just below who didn't get that chance, then hey, I think it's a huge miss, and it's great that you guys are fulfilling filling that void.
Well, absolutely. Obviously, with the job comes consequences, right? And you go to an office and you get burnt out,
Yeah,
right? In hockey, it may be an injury that leads you to the burnout, or it's no different.
yeah.
And so I think it's really important that we understand, if we overwork, if we become a workaholic, there are consequences, and so we need to help players that are so focused on making it, and when they don't make it, that letdown, that drastic drop, that creates anxiety, and if in fact you suffered any type of injuries that don't allow you to engage, that really hurts. But the reason why I really started to think about this, a couple of weeks ago, I got a call from a father who the son was an overage in OHL, and it really made me um, think about it, because you and I did talk about those kids, whether they're midget age and they're not going to get drafted in the OHL, or they're OHL players that may not get drafted in the NHL because of the fact that they've lost a couple of years. I thought about that. Obviously, with my history with my sister, I want to make good. I want to, you know what? I want to make a damn difference. I just don't want to talk the talk. I want to walk the walk with the people that are suffering, because I've been there. You've been there. We've dealt with these issues. And so a lot of young kids don't have the opportunity to be around people like you and me and Stephen Morris of the world. And so when this father called me, um, he comes through, because a lot of people don't know, and I'm not here to put, tap myself on the shoulder, but a lot of people don't know how many calls I take about concussions, about mental illness. And I'm not a doctor. I'm the first. I am not. I know you think I am, Pete. I am not a doctor.
The doctor of love.
A doctor of course. But I understand. I've been on all sides of it. So when this father was speaking to me about his son playing in the OHL, an overage, he basically said, "I'm scared. My son has suffered another concussion, and we don't know where to take it. We don't know, should he quit? He's had 3 or 4 in the past. He went through the pandemic. All he wants to do is play, and we as a family are trying. He's a very good student, but this last concussion didn't see, he was knocked out. They took him to the ambulance, to the hospital by ambulance. I will not mention names, of course. But what happened was there was no issues. He came out of it. There were no symptoms. The kid's doing okay, and the parents are looking at themselves. And this was really, really heartwarming to hear the father say, "I owe it to my son to help him make the right decision." Because if I don't, I will live with that regret all my life if I don't at least approach. Kid's 20. Kid's got to make the decision on his own. But I just love it that his family is helping him and guiding him to make that decision, and not just saying, "It's yours. Good luck." Right? And that's what's really driven me now. Because that kid at 20, how many others are out there that don't have his parents? He's all alone. And all he wants to do is make it so he can get away from maybe the life he has and make it to be a Connor McDavid or a Leon Draisaitl or a Sidney Crosby and have that dream. But how many fall off that cliff? And who's there to catch them? And I think that's what we do. I know that's what you do with the General Project.
Yeah, honestly, I love the conversation, and I think this is the power of conversation.
Yep.
Is you share this conversation with another parent who's having the same concern. I can't imagine you're a parent, you got a 20-year-old kid who loves the game, who just loves going to the rink, who loves his buddies, who loves the dressing room, who loves skating up the wing and shooting the puck or whatever role he's playing, and you have to have a tough conversation to say, because unfortunately we as a society, we like to wait until we're sick before we do
Yep.
anything. And
Right.
unfortunately we wait for the crisis. And so, one more concussion and he doesn't come out of it, or he doesn't wake up with full capabilities. And then you start to go, whoa, I guess we should have had the tough conversation before.
Well,
And it's tough.
Yeah, Brady Leopold, who's lived the dream, lived through the nightmare, the trials and tribulations. I've had him on this program. I know you've heard about his story. Congratulations on your first goal in 10 years. He was incarcerated, drugs, alcohol, deep down in the darkest vial of life. And this guy has dragged himself out, not alone. He's had some support, no question. And he is a mental health God right now. He's helping us understand from another perspective. I've never been in jail. I've never been incarcerated. I've never had a child out of wedlock. Matter of fact, I haven't had a child. So I think it's important that to take what he's gone through and be able to understand the grip that drugs, alcohol, the the lying, the cheating, the stealing, just to get that next fix. And Brady was that, and he's come through it. He's battling, I'm sure, but we're so proud of him, and that's why I think he's got given us the fist pumps, because he's been there. He understands that. And Brady Levo, what you're doing is absolutely amazing. And Pete, that's what we need to do. And I know we didn't want to take this to there because you've got a really interesting topic, and we're
No,
going to get
no.
there in a second. I just think it's really important that we understand the worst is not behind us. The worst could still be ahead of us. Germany being shut down next week. How are they going to live? I don't have an income, and I'm not crying the blues. I don't have an income. If we shut down again, my wife goes to school, helps pay the bills. What do we do? And so I really think we need to come together, have these conversations, be bold, be frank, be open, yet be understanding, be not judgmental. We're all going through something. It may not be what I'm going through isn't what you're going through, Pete. And what you're going through isn't what I'm going through. But you know what? We're going through it together. So we may as well hold hands and sing Kumbaya, because I believe the only way we're going to get out of this, you hear this, we're in it together. Yeah, we're in it together. The only way we're getting out of it is together. So let's work together. Your thoughts?
Oh, well, first off, kudos, Brady. Love the story. Love that you're fighting back, and I do think it's important. And I don't know if Brady's been on the show, but
Yes,
I
I
think
had
we
them.
should have Brady on this show,
We
and
will
we
do
should
that.
have this conversation
Yep.
because I think it's critical. We've had scared straight programs before about going to jail, but I think there's so much. Certainly time alone. We know that social solitary confinement is the worst punishment we can give people. We put people in jails, and I'm not sure that that's really helping them, come back as more productive members of society versus if we sat down and had conversations and help explain, the right, the wrong, the what could be better. And, even everything that you just talked about off the top of the show, just having that sense of purpose and understanding the value that, that it brings to you when you help other people.
Yep.
And so I think, sharing Brady's story and the enlightenment that he's come across. But I think, we are in this together. And I saw many articles during the pandemic, talking about how, excuse me, how we were in different boats. There's the rich and the poor. But when it comes to working together, and certainly from a social connection standpoint, we are in it together. And it is as simple as when you see somebody walking down the street, it is a hello, it's a hi, because it doesn't always mean that we're going to be able to be there to, to provide financial support. And I mean, just in everyday people that you meet. What we need to recognize is that those simple conversations can fill the void of a sense of belonging.
Yep.
And if we can help people feel at least more connected, better sense of belonging, that will give them the confidence to continue to go on their journey. And that next step of the journey may be, to go find, you could, if you're at the fundamentals, seek food and shelter. But it also might be, I'm going to go get a job. It might be, I'm going to go and try to accomplish something or help somebody. So we have to meet people where they are on their journey, but every one of us has an opportunity to play a role in helping connect that person and making them feel like they are not alone in this world, wherever they are on that journey.
Before you judge, read the book. Don't just look at the cover. Brady, we do want to get you on. Maybe I'll see if we can get him on next week. I had him on about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and his story is not only compelling, but it's engaging. But it's certainly, I've never been in jail. That isolation. Love to ask him some of that. Like, what did it feel like? Like, how did you come out of there now being who you are? And I think that's really important that we are there for people. And I love the fact that you say we're be there at any time of their journey. I was downtown the other day, and I was reminded that as I drove to the Hockey Hall of Fame, I was turning the corner. I think it's on Young Street. You're coming off the Gardner, and I was reminded that my sister was sleeping under that bridge, and it really hit me at that moment. I don't speak of it often, but to realize that my beautiful sister was sleeping under a bridge, somebody found her at that moment and helped her along the way. to at least give her more time on the earth because she could have been gone then. And I think what I learned through my relationship with my sister, and that's why every time I see somebody on a corner, I know you could be taken that, maybe the guy's a millionaire living and he's faking he's a bum, but I never not give a quarter, give a 50 cents, give a buck. And somebody would say, why do you do that? It's just going to feed their alcohol or feed them drugs. But you know what? If that will keep them alive one more day, and that will then allow them to maybe find that person, that savior, that person that can do more than I can, and they help them get out of those that grasp of alcoholism or addiction. Let's just keep them on the planet. You know why? Because there is hope, and we need to believe in that hope. Hey, Pete, final comment on that? Anything you want to say?
Nope, all good.
Beauty. Listen, you sent me a really, you do this well. You are probably one of the best. This is Canva. If you don't already know it, right behind me, I built this with Canva on my own.
Nice.
Pretty good, eh?
That's beautiful. I need to come up with the background, but you got the green screen. I got to get the green screen
We'll get you
permanently
a
in
green
here.
screen. All right, but look at this. Let's discuss this. Extremism.
Yeah, I put this. I shared this with you before the show because I was reflecting on what happened in Wisconsin the other day at the Christmas parade, and just how sad it is that that people are in such a state that they would want to go out and randomly hurt and obviously kill people. And I think it's important for people to recognize again the role that social connection can play for all of us. And it's not always because we're struggling. Ideally, when we're struggling, social connection is like thirst and hunger. When you're thirsty, we go get a drink. When you're hungry, you go get something to eat. Social connection should be the same. When we feel that sense, that is our body and our minds telling us that we're lonely, we feel disconnected. And so the reaction should be that we call up a friend, we go have a coffee, we do amazing things. The unfortunate part is social connection unfortunately takes two people, because when you feel that sense of disconnection or loneliness, that's when you need to reach out. But it's at that same time you feel least powerful to do that reach out, because if you're struggling, it makes it more challenging to reach out. And I think these two stats here, which show that people that are disconnected, it increases stress, aggression, and fear. It increases violent extremism. And so, whether you want to talk about it from the context of a cultural extremism, I did a panel, or I did a workshop for a hate and Islamophobia conference a few weeks back, speaking about how human connection is the solution to building bridges between communities. But I think when we see those scenarios happen, and the role that we can all play, and I had a conversation with somebody last week who said, I stopped to talk to this kid who locks himself away in a basement and he never comes out and he plays video games and I don't know what else he does. And the person said, I stood outside one day when the kid walked out and I talked to him, and the kid seemed shocked, but we chatted for 45 minutes. You know, I don't care if it's a young person or an old person. If you see somebody who's not out and about, who's not staying connected, it is as simple as a hello. Make a few minutes to make that person, give that person a sense of belonging. Because if we don't, and this is where we all have to take some responsibility and accountability for the world that's building around us, and especially as we come out of the global pandemic, your time to connect with other people can be a big part of the solution of getting us all through this in a safe and healthy way. And it is for the betterment of society. So the whole message of Gen Well is, if we can educate people on all the implications and ramifications of a lack of social connection, then maybe we can inspire people to do it a little more often because they see the value in it. So that's the only reason I wanted to share, because that was just a horrific video of that car going down and hitting the seniors dance troupe and whoever else they got. At the end of the day, that is just and we've seen it in the markets in Germany. I think a couple of years ago, there's the
Yes.
one in
Brilliant.
Paris. And we need to overcome this, but we don't overcome this by tweeting nasty messages at each other. We overcome this by building bridges, connecting with people, and making sure that people feel like they're welcome and that they're part of a community.
So, Peter, I know with the Gen Well project, you're talking to many people. Is there optimism? Are there people that are rising above this, or are we in that kind of zombie stage? I mean that in because I find myself on days where I'm numb. Like it takes me a little bit to get myself wound up again and get into this mode of we can make today's the day. But um, do you see and feel and hear optimism, even though we now hear that there's a good chance Europe is going to shut down, Germany specifically? I was on the phone today with one of my very good friends, and he's just beside himself. He's it's been this, right? And in England, he's from England, but he's living in Germany. Germany's shutting down, and in England, they basically just said, "Forget it, we're staying open. Just open the floodgates. Let's get going." Who knows what's right or wrong? But is there a sense of optimism?
Hey, as I said about meeting people, somebody today, I actually went and had my annual eye exam, and I spoke to the gentleman at the optometrist, and I said, "Hey, how's it going?" He said, "It's awesome. This has been great. I haven't been impacted at all, and I'm living my life." And I thought to myself, "Wow, that's the first time I've kind of heard that. Everything is good, and I've certainly heard people that have enjoyed time with their family and other things, but there's usually been challenges in some way, shape, or form. So I think everybody's on a different pace. But I think the last time we were on, I said something similar, which is I still feel like there's this dark cloud lurking. Is it another shutdown? Is there something else? Yeah, and then you look at obviously this is not everything's not going to be global. It's regional in regards to the shutdowns. But let's talk about what's happening out in British Columbia. When we talk about the floods and the mudslides and everything, you know, this is just horrific stuff. And we know that the environment is taking a beating right now. And this is where we all need to wake up and be part of the solution, not just on social connection, but on the environment, on working together to solve the economic challenges. We've got issues between China and the US. There is a lot of challenges out there. There probably isn't a lot of cause for optimism in the struggles that are ahead. But again, what I will say is if you and I were sitting here face to face, having a beer right now, by the end of that conversation, I'd feel pretty optimistic, at least in the moment,
Yep.
because what gives us that sense of optimism is that person that's with you, the person that this was a really interesting thing that I will throw out just in the midst of this conversation.
Yeah.
Is we did a panel with students a couple weeks ago, and we had a psychologist on. He's an academic psychologist. I didn't know there was such a thing. Anyway, so he said, when you meet people, we talk about strangers and how important it is to connect with strangers. But when you see people on the street that you haven't seen in a while and you see the response of their face, what that actually does is actually reinforces for you who you are as a human being. Because when you run into Kerry Goulet and Kerry Goulet throws his arms around you, what you recognize is that you are loved and that you're cared for and that people think positively about you. And I've never thought about how seeing other people actually makes you recognize that you're a worthy human being. And this is when 65% of the connections that we missed every day were not in our calendar. They were the casual collisions that we had. This is what we're waking up to, is the fact that we haven't seen those people for the last 19 months. And it is why my wife even said today, she's having a tough time right now. And she said, you know what? I can't do it anymore. I can't sit in a room in my house for another 8 or 10 hours tomorrow and just work. I miss seeing my colleagues. I miss going to the coffee shop. I miss connecting with people on the street in my neighborhood. And yes, we go walk the dog, but it's not what it used to be. And so, we all need to be conscious that things are different. And that's probably what's causing some of the challenges in your life. But hopefully, we can start getting back to something a little more normal so that we can get back to those casual collisions that really are a part of making us happier and healthier.
Hey, in a couple of weeks, we're going to have this young man on. He looks identical in real life. And yes, he does have legs too. Uh, I want to put this one up. I saw a little puppy dog that Donna McCarthy got It's the puppy thing. My son Max says he greets everyone like he was a puppy. He's genuinely excited to see everyone, just like a puppy. That's why people like him, just like Carrie Goulet. I don't think I'm a puppy. I think I'm an old crony. You know, that dog that's just sitting on the dock waiting for, you to throw me some food. But anyways, Donna got this little puppy, and it was so cute. Donna, if you have a few minutes, please send me a picture. We'll fire him up there. But that is, I think, I think what the General project specifically looks for, if I understand it correctly, is to get those people that maybe are sitting on the outside, or on maybe in that on the perimeter, and try to bring them in and allow them to be a part of the great project. And I think that's what the Connected is all about. And we're just trying to help people, and make it easy, right? Don't overwhelm them, but allow, because I am one of those guys. I can overwhelm people because I just love giving hope. And so I think it's really important that we open up, and be there for people. And I know that that's what you do, Pete. You and I had an opportunity to take both of our wives a couple of. Well, I mean, it's probably, man, it's got to be,
Pre-pandemic, maybe Christmas before
yeah,
pandemic.
yeah, to the Haven, Toronto. I've got some stuff. I don't know if you got any stuff, but I got some stuff. I've got some gloves that I had donated. I've got some boots. I wouldn't mind us maybe just popping over there. I know that last time when I got all this stuff, they said, "Hey, we're not taking anything because of the pandemic." I will do a call tomorrow to see if they'll take it, and then maybe next week you and I, Pete, bundle up some stuff and get them ready, because cold is coming tomorrow. I think
Yeah,
it's Friday. We're gonna have almost a snowstorm. Is that true?
I'm looking here. It says it says wind -3, -4 at night the next few nights. So it's chilly. Might be time to get that rink in the backyard, get you over here and in skating a little bit with my little guy.
Well, we love him. I got a video from him saying, "When's the gooch coming over?" But he calls me Kerry Goulet.
Yep.
I don't think there's a lot of people that don't even know that was my last name. But you can see by my nose, and I'm a little stuffed up. I need a couple more days. Uh, this is something that we've had before. I want to end it on this: baggage you don't need to carry. I think right now these are the things that we're dealing with as we go through it. And I'm only bringing this up. It's because it's the bottom one. It's not your past. Okay, we can deal with that. The guilt. We all got some expectations. I have lots. Other mistakes. Everybody's got them, but it's the negativity that's surrounding all of this uh, pandemic. We've had optimism, then we're back down to, is there a lot? It's the unknown. Is that maybe more so than the actual negativity? Talk to me about that unknown. How it's, because you're talking to several young people, us older guys. I had a talk with my wife the other day, and she basically said we just lost 2 years of our life at a time where it's difficult to think. You were 60, now you're 62, and what have we got for it? And I think a kid that's 18, 19 can feel that same thing. I lost two of my most formative years. Love to hear your thought.
Actually, here's what I'll pick up on out of what you just said there, which is, remember, as human beings, we love routine. And so I think, to your point, the thing that we're struggling with right now is there is no routine. Those that coffee shop visit, the office, the meeting people at your favorite bar or restaurant, seeing certain people at certain times of the week. And we've talked about it. For me, hockey is a big one, which I'm back to at least 2 and sometimes 3 times a week. But most people's lives were built around rituals and those regular occasions that we got to go and see people. And so I think I read the stat that 70% of our lives or 80% of our lives were built on routine and those rituals. And when you have that 70 to 80% already structured in your day, then you can handle the 20% that isn't normal and isn't what you expected and isn't what you planned. And I think this is what you're identifying here is that when everything in your day is kind of up for grabs, when you don't have the rituals and routines that you had prior to the pandemic. And we haven't been able to go back to the office. You haven't been able to go back out. You're not doing the same thing. And frankly, a lot of us, and I've posted a few things on it lately, people are into what I'll call the habit of it's too easy just to stay in your sweatpants all day and not get up and not leave and not go back to the office or go out and do things. We are able to get around a little more now, and we should be making the effort to get back out for all the reasons we talk about all the time. But we've built some habits over 19 months, and we need to help people, meeting them wherever they are on the journey. We need to get people back out and connecting with people, because the research is clear. Social connection, good for your happiness, good for your health, reduces anxiety and depression, increases empathy, compassion, makes you live longer, single biggest preventative action to avoid depression. All this information is there, and we just need to get people to do it a little more often.
Pete, you're an inspiration, kid. I love it. But look at this.
You are an
No,
inspiration.
No, you.
You.
Give me your shoulder.
Huh? This one? Thank you.
But we're going to leave it on probably one of those really highlight happy moments.
All right.
Look, how can you wake up in the morning, take one more peek?
Did Donna send that to you just now?
Just now.
What a beauty. And the power of the dog, and this is why, and I humans don't, to your point about the baggage, humans don't live in the moment. We carry the baggage from the past, and we're worried about the future. The power of the dog only lives one place right now. When he sees you, he's always happy to see you. My dog's barking right now. Maybe he's hearing me talking about dogs.
Yeah.
It's like, you're not allowed to like any other dogs, pal.
That's right.
So I think that the insight, as you talk about those baggage, the image about the bags, is the more we can live in the moment, the more we can find time face to face with people, the more we can share a coffee, share a meal, share a beer, and actually get deeper, get reconnected with people after 18, 19 months apart. I guarantee you, anybody who does it will feel better, because when you're in the moment, when you and I are having this conversation, Carrie, and when we're sitting, I'm not thinking about this. I'm not thinking about the competitive world that's out there and who's posting their meal that they just had 5 minutes ago, or
Aaron Kuzak.
or who bought a new Ferrari, or whoever, whatever it is. What I worry about is actually hearing what you have to say and engaging with you as a friend. And I think it's an insight, and we're hearing lots of more negative stuff about social media. I think we're not far from some serious stuff happening to either control social media or control something, because either we are going to do something as a society to revolt against it. You just heard that Lush brands just cut off all of their social media. So they've gotten rid of their Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. I think they got rid of all their social feeds. Why? Because they are making a statement as a business that we don't need that in order to be successful, and we will find our customers by giving them the things that they need and the value that they're looking for. And I think it's just the first step. I think it's a bold and beautiful statement by a business that, we don't need social media to survive as human beings. We need people to survive as human beings. So
Pete, couldn't say it better. I just love it. Thank you for giving us some insight. That was a great situation with the Lush. I did not hear that, so thank you for that.
Yeah.
And what a great show again, brought to you by the good people at Genwell Project, Connected, and of course Fired Up Network. And I'm going to leave you with this. Fired Up Network. Fire me up. Now this guy's going to fire up. I had an opportunity to go to the Hockey Hall of Fame induction weekend, and I got to interview and don't forget, Boris Solming's coming. This is just a little snippet. I had 5 minutes with this guy. It was one of my dream interviews, and there's lots coming out on Gooch Live over the next couple of weeks. It's Gooch Live. I'm right here. It is live with Jerome McGinley. Listen, 2020 induction. This man is a Hall of Famer. Jerome, how you doing?
Well, I'm doing good. It's great to be here.
Well, I'll tell you what, I had an opportunity to interview a couple of weeks ago with Johnson & Johnson. You are a true gentleman with your time, but also what's gone on in this particular weekend, your time has become so valuable, and you've given us a few minutes. Let's talk about what this day means for you.
Oh, it's been a very special weekend. It's really cool to get back on the ice. To be honest, it was a lot harder than I remember it. Oh my gosh.
So listen, I have 5 minutes of him just being the greatest guy in the world, optimistic, a true gentleman, a great ambassador. He was always that on the ice, but off the ice. Barry Monroe from Shoot for a Cure. Jerome has done so much behind the scenes we don't hear about. He's just an amazing guy. So now you'll see that. I got Lanny McDonald. I got Steve Thomas. I got a guy named Mike Commodore. You're gonna say you got to watch that interview. He is hilarious. Ally Afraidy, and I did not get Boris Solming, who I know is one of your favorites, because he was not there. But I promise you, Pete, he will be on our show, and you will be the first to know.
I think Jerome would get. My son just brought home a Jerome Ginla book of Calgary Flames, and I think it's the Jerome Ginla jersey. So I just think everything I've ever heard about Jerome is just so beautiful. Mike Commodore, that will be an interesting conversation. I know he doesn't have a lot of nice things to say about a former Leaf coach.
I did not bring up Babcock.
Yeah, who?
Babcock.
Anyway, so I've kind of watched him on his Twitter trolling of Mr. Babcock.
He's a little out there.
Wow, it's amazing, but he was always a funny guy, and look forward to seeing that one. Obviously, all those other big names like Lanny, certainly always great to see. But man, you are such a pro. You know, you just hold that microphone. You know exactly how to engage the person. Jerome felt comfortable. You, my friend. This is what you were meant to do.
Thank you, but
Uh-oh.
the guy said I'm missing a tooth because of my old, got slap shot.
Oh, I thought you lost it on the ice or something. You got
no. Yeah, I did
no.
years ago, but
Yeah.
it's got hit so many times that the post broke. So, anyways,
Yeah.
here I am interviewing everybody. I could have went this way, right? But no,
Yes.
I got to be like this way. And one of the guys said, "What? You're just trying to show off that you were a hockey player at one time?"
I didn't notice. So everybody's a critic, eh?
Yeah, I got all the angles though. That was a self promotion. All right, buddy. Can't thank you enough, Pete. I look forward to seeing you next week.
Yeah.
For sure, we're going to book a date with Haven Toronto. We'll find out what the rules and regulations are. If we can go in and serve some food, I'm there. You're there. We'll bring the wives again, and if not, we'll just drop off a bunch of goodies that'll help somebody get through the winter because it is going to be a long and cold one, and we are going to be there to warm the hearts. Pete Bombaci, the General Project.
See you, Kerry. Great to see you, buddy.
Hey, buddy. Go Leafs! Pete Bombaci, always a favorite on Wellness Wednesday. Thank you very much for taking time with us. Really enjoyed it. And we will see you next Wednesday.